all of the people at USF who have that shared experience of going abroad, getting out of their comfort zone, sometimes learning another experience, experiencing another culture. It's really something that I feel binds people together. And what I'm going to do today during our event is I'm going to talk a little bit about some network specific data. Then we're going to welcome our lovely panelists and have a few questions for them. And then I'll go into a little bit more detail about the concept for global networks. And then I will invite you to tell me and share with me how you feel the network can support you and what would be of value and what would be meaningful for you as a member. So what are global networks? I like to think of them as groups of alumni, students, faculty, and allies who are from the network country, or in this case, the network region, who are in that region, or they have an interest in a country or in that region, right? So it's a very inclusive idea. It's very different from your typical alumni chapter in the US. Those are usually limited to alumni in a very particular place, in a city, for example. And what we want to do is be a lot more expansive and a lot more inclusive. So we want to welcome international students from that part of the world, study abroad students who go to that part of the world, any visiting scholars, Fulbrights, for example, any Peace Corps volunteers that spend time there, any of our alumni who move there, who are living abroad, and any of our faculty, our partners who are internationally engaged. So it's really important to us that we support that kind of international research, international business, and any humanitarian efforts as well.
I'm not going to be honest with you, and I'm ready for it.
Little housekeeping, please mute yourself for now until we have the open forum. Thank you. All right, so in terms of the Caribbean, and this is where my panelists are going to come in handy, especially Dr. Smith. USF is engaged in this region and has been engaged in this region for a long time. But many times, people don't know to what extent, and there's maybe no connection between what one faculty member is doing and another faculty member is doing, or students or alumni. So this is the opportunity that the network brings, is to really bring everybody to the table and have a much clearer understanding of what the USF footprint in the Caribbean is. So from the information that I have, we have over 700 alumni that are in the Caribbean and from the Caribbean. We have over 300 faculty who are engaged across 30 countries in the Caribbean, bodies of water and territories there. We have over 335 students from the Caribbean right now at the university, and we have a long list of partnerships in that region. One of the things we want to make sure to do is include community partners, not only institutional partners, not only universities, but also chambers of commerce, also student organizations. We really want to be comprehensive here because we feel that that will maximize the opportunities available to all members. So before we go on to the panelist questions, I want to make sure I ask Miss Suzette and Miss Petrian to come on screen. We're going to highlight you as our special guests. We're so thrilled to have you here, and thank you so much for taking the time. I know everybody is really busy, but I would love it if you could take a few moments to introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about you. I'm going to throw the questions up here for just a moment. We're going to be asking you a little bit about your experience abroad, your experience at USF, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and just let you come on and let us know a little bit about either how you ended up at USF and your experience here, or what it's been like going back home.
So I'll get started, Suzette. It's such a pleasure to be here. First of all, Vanessa, thank you for inviting me, for inviting us to share in this wonderful event and this launch. So I'm from St. Lucia, Caribbean, really came to the US when I was seeking a master's degree in literacy. What happened was I was in Trinidad trying to further my teacher training sort of skills, and I didn't have a literacy program being offered in Trinidad at the time. So my cousin, who was at USF, so she's also USF alumni, basically alumna, she's basically or she was an environmental science student. And so she said, you know, why don't you apply? You never know. And so I applied to USF Literacy Studies program, and very quickly they responded and said, yes, please, you know, come to our program. We'd love to have you. And so I took my daughter, who was a little girl at the time. Dr. Kelly remembers seeing my daughter all over USF campus. And so we sort of migrated to USF for that 1 year with the intention of going back to the Caribbean. And that never happened. And so USF became sort of a home, and then the US as well. So that's sort of my journey, how I got here, and how I've been in the US sort of as a second home since I moved in 2009.
All right. So you were really across the Caribbean and various islands, and then you came here as a student, and now you're a professor.
Yes, exactly, because I'm actually St. Lucian, so I was literally working in Trinidad as a student first, then as a teacher, then of course, you know, moving over here. So I've been through multiple states too in the US. So coming back to USF now is very interesting because I've been away from it as well. And then coming back sort of like home to USF is what it was in 2019.
Thank you so much. Suzette, please share your journey with us.
All right, so I am Jamaican, and my first experience with the USF was their Shortwood Teachers College, where I now work, had a partnership program, a master's program with the USF. So I was a student in that program. So I did the master's program with Shortwood through that collaborative program with USF between 2005 and 2007. So I was very intrigued with the approach that the USF professors took. So when I applied for a Fulbright scholarship to study in the US, I got offers from, I think, about 3 or 4 universities, and I insisted to my program advisor that I wanted to go to USF. So they made it happen. So I came to USF in 2009 as a graduate student. That's where I met Dr. Smith. And it was really a great experience for me coming from the Caribbean. It actually was my first actual experience in the USA, even though I have had family in the US. I hadn't traveled to the USA before. So it was both a social experience and also an academic experience, and one that I embraced with, all of me, because I really wanted to be at USF, even though I got offers from other universities. I insisted USF is where I wanted to go to.
Go Bulls.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad you ended up here. I'd also like to welcome my student assistant, Gabrielle, who's also from the Caribbean, to come up. I think having representation from the various audiences here at the university is really important when it comes to the network. So as a current student, can you tell us, Gabrielle, how did you end up here? What took you in life from the Caribbean to USF?
I definitely think an important part of me choosing university was making sure that my culture was still involved. And I think USF just does an excellent job of that. There's so many Caribbean or student organizations like Caribbean Cultural Exchange. There's one for Haitian women with changing the standards. Just the fact that my culture is still seen here and people are involved in it and people are excited about it. Just the diversity and the acceptance of the university is definitely what brought me here.
Okay, great. And since I still have you here, how about the greatest challenges or joys that you faced as a Caribbean student here at USF?
biggest challenge is definitely adjusting to the American school system versus the Caribbean school system. Like that was an adjustment. I was like, oh, did not expect that. I think that I did miss home a lot, but the fact that there's so many other Caribbean students made it that transition so much easier, and just feeling included and everybody excited to learn about, oh, you're from here, tell me about here. It's just, I couldn't ask for a better community. They really, really, really helped with that transition.
Great. Suzette, same question.
All right, so I think I have more joys than challenges. My greatest joy was really meeting students from diverse cultures, and within the childhood and education and literacy studies department, that's what it was called back then. So we were really a little family unit. So graduate students, we were connected, the professors looked out for us. And just this focus on your culture, where each course we did, you had to look at it through your cultural lens. And it became so important to me that my Jamaican-ness mattered, so for me, that was a great joy at USF. One of the challenges was really balancing graduate assistant work with my PhD work. But after a while, I got the hang of it through support again from other graduate students. So as I say, I had great joys more than challenges. And one other, it was more a learning experience for me, was I thought because I'm from the English-speaking Caribbean that talking to Americans would be easy. So I got a culture shock where that is concerned. Some words we use different meanings, and body language, and just quite a number of nuances that I had to learn over time. But as I said, it was more a learning experience than a challenge.
Thank you. Dr. Smith?
Hi, so I'm so happy to hear Dr. Kelly talk about the learning experience with the language, because that, of course, is my area of research. And she was one of the folks who helped me think about that process as well. So thanks, Dr. Kelly, for bringing that up. In terms of the greatest joys, I would say it had to be the online USF library system. I know it sounds very minor, but in the Caribbean, our educational system back home, it was pretty much you go to the library, you sit down, you find the books, and you're basically copying the material that you need and paraphrasing it. Got here, online USF library system, the world at your fingertips, literally, when it comes to information. So I was doing so much researching of things that I had not seen before. I had not had subscriptions to journals. And so I really liked that there was all of that knowledge at my fingertips. USF, once you become a student, you have access to all these vast databases online. Just really allowed me as a single parent working with my daughter at night not to have to go into the library every single day to try to do my work and get my stuff done as a graduate student. And so that, I know, seems minor, but looking back on it, I was like, okay, that was a big deal. So that was one of the things. The other one, and I had to say this, Adventure Island and Busch Gardens, we had yearly annual sort of passes. And so my daughter, who was little at the time, we would go almost every month. We would go to whether it's Busch Gardens or Adventure Island, because it's literally right down the street. You can take the bus and get there. I remember those days. And so, I mean, these are things that I think if you have parents, you have families who are coming to study, and they may want to be thinking, okay, how am I going to balance my work life or my graduate school life with my family life? That's something that you can look forward to, because at least you have that community right there with USF to enjoy the Busch Gardens and Adventure Island experience. In terms of challenges, I would have to say it's the immigration process. So I'm trying to really navigate the immigration rules and regulations and really trying to come to terms with it. I kept thinking I'm going to be an expert in immigration by the time I leave USF, you know? And then I left USF went to several other universities, and I realized it's just the US system, right? The immigration processes are complex. So, they're very challenging. And everyone, as someone said earlier, makes it it's just very easy for you to figure out that you have support. They tell you this is the person you can go to. And so I felt supported. And I think that is what really makes USF sort of stand out as a university.
Thank you so much. So since I have you here, how do you stay connected to the Caribbean? Now you're here, you're full-time professor here at the university. I know your work is in the Caribbean as well, but please share with us what you do and how you stay connected to the region.
So I have been very intentional about keeping my cultural roots, my connection to home in St. Lucia, my connection to Trinidad, because my daughter was born there. And just really immersing myself in opportunities that take me back home, whether it's I'm doing virtual sorts of consultations or virtual sorts of engagements, or whether I'm going. One of the biggest opportunities that opened up recently was with Professor Joel Warrican at the University of the West Indies, Cave Hill. We worked together. He invited me to work on this Rice Caribbean initiative, where we're looking at across the US and Cave Hill, just how can we support the capacity building of our scholars in the region across all of the Eastern Caribbean islands? How can we help them to go into schools, do research on the ground, and improve the teaching practices? So that's a 3-year grant. We started last year. We're in our 2nd year. We went to the Caribbean this past summer. 7 USF faculty members going to engage with our research fellows on that grant and our research assistants, just having a wonderful time learning about research competencies and training and providing that sort of support. I just also finished with the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States Commission, this huge training that we were doing for curriculum officers across the region. And so that was a really exciting opportunity to share some of what I've learned and gained with individuals across the whole Caribbean. I kept saying, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. And they just looked at me like, what are you talking about? But to be in community with individuals who are Caribbean while you're here, you're seeing them on the screen. I think that virtual connection is amazing. And of course, with my family, I'm always on WhatsApp and FaceTime and doing chats and group chats. And so I think there's a lot of different ways, there are a lot of different ways that I try to maintain that connection, both professionally and personally.
Thank you. What about you, Gabrielle? How do you connect? How do you stay in contact with your friends in Barbados, your family? What do you do?
Definitely a lot of phone calls. And, we're from the Caribbean. We know they can go on for hours. Especially, I'm like, okay, Mom, I have work to do. And she's like, oh, okay. Definitely just especially trying to find events in Tampa that are related to the Caribbean have helped a lot. And going to the USF events for the Caribbean, because just being able to surround yourself with other people from the same culture who like, oh, I miss this food. And they're like, me too. And it's just it's so nice to just be surrounded by people that just know who you your culture, can relate to you. It's so nice.
Oh, thank you. And Suzette, what about how do you stay in contact with USF?
Well, I am in Tampa almost every holiday. I'll be there for Christmas. So my husband is still living there. So I'm back and forth. I'm considered a native of both countries. So yeah, I'm fully connected that way, because as soon as we get a holiday, I'm gone.
Okay, great. This is the last question. How would you say that your culture and the things that you learned at USF are present in your career today, Suzette?
So when I was at USF, there was the emphasis on teaching, research, and service. So as it relates to teaching, I came to the program as a teacher educator, but somehow being at USF has changed my approach to working with pre-service teachers. I find that I need to inspire more a love of learning in them, and where they see themselves as researchers. So, you know, we tend to sometimes depend on the literature that is published by other people. So in my teaching, I'm trying to get them to see themselves as researchers who are living data, so that they can use that data to inform their practices that they're doing in our Jamaican classrooms. So the teaching, there's a love for learning, which, you know, goes beyond a lecture, because we tend to use the word lecture in Jamaica a lot. So to motivate them, that passion for teaching and learning, because I think they go hand in hand. Where research is concerned, our undergraduates have to do action research. So they need to do an intervention in their field experience. So I'm trying to inspire them to not just see this as something they do to get a grade. I'm trying to get them to see this as something they can work on to publish. And I've even offered myself to edit and co-author with them. I'm still trying to get there with them, because they are so pressured with the program and they have a fear of research. So I'm trying to work with them to get the research to be more meaningful, right? So they can go into disseminating their findings at local conferences, and also encourage them to do international conferences. I have co-authored 2 articles with 2 of my master's students through the University of the West Indies. So at least I've gotten there with 2 master's students. I'm still working on that with undergraduate students as well. But it's the fear of research that's somehow in our education system among teachers, because they feel they have so much already to do. So they're seeing the research as an add-on and not so much as something to inform their practices. So what I've learned from USF is guiding me in that way to change it, to create, you know, a research culture where I work, and also with the schools we partner with. I've also been working with the US Embassy. They invite me to sit on the panel for Fulbright scholars. So trying to, you know, recruit Fulbrighters to study abroad, whether they choose USF or not, because I find that that cultural experience is such an amazing learning opportunity to rethink, you know, your perspectives on issues that you initially thought were either black or white, without thinking about the different shades that are in between on the continuum. So in terms of, you know, teaching, research, and the service with the US Embassy, also service with schools, you know, I'm part of my local, my primary school alumni. So service was important to us in the department when we worked as graduate students. So I serve my primary school alumni. Recently, we have gotten tablets for students so that they could have access to classes during the pandemic. We got laptop computers and tablet computers from past students of the school. And now I plan to follow up on that with some research to see how they having access to the technology, how I can help the teachers to enhance their teaching, technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge. Going back to research again, I'm currently working on a research, parenting depressive symptoms, intimate partner violence in Jamaica, links to children's social and academic skills. This is a joint collaborative research with Professor Jaipal Rupnarine from Syracuse University. So I have been influenced by research, teaching, practice, and I continue to motivate and my colleagues to join in that. But you know, it's taking time, because for promotion for us at the college where I work is not linked to research, it's not linked to publication. So it doesn't drive them to get it done. So to see the importance of it in terms of informing our practices, that is where I'm trying to get faculty to embrace research, because we have so much data among the students that we're working with.
Thank you. Dr. Smith, I feel like you answered this question, but do you have anything you'd like to add?
I did. I think I did sort of talk a little bit about all of what USF has given to me, but I just want to say that I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't have done so well had it not been for USF. I have, you know, just like Dr. Kelly said, our training is research, teaching, service to become professors, to do the work that is needed in the profession. And so I went on to University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign when I graduated from USF. That was my first position, and just really getting immersed in doing all the things that, you come from USF, and everybody that goes to these universities comes from maybe a Harvard or one of these top universities. So you're always comparing yourself at the very beginning and seeing that you were trained so well to write and to teach and to do it excellently with grace and humility. That was one of the things that I would say USF is able to do. And I mean, I can sit down and name all the publications and all of the books and all of the, the journals that I'm on, and editorial boards and boards of directors. But what I think stands out to me is sort of like that training that I got at USF, where the professors taught us to be human, even while we were pursuing teaching, research, and service. So I've always prioritized, how do I treat students? How do I make them feel that they're valued when they work with me? And I think that is something that stood out to me as I look back at the professors who trained me at USF. They embody that process, and they put people first. They put me first, with my little daughter in every single doctoral class that I kept bringing her to. And so now that I'm out there in the field, USF has allowed me to do that for other students and really show them that caring and compassion, especially with COVID, has been something that mattered.
Thank you. I think a lot of us from USF have had a similar experience. I was a Fulbrighter in Germany, and everyone that I met at the orientation, when I asked them what school they came from, was Princeton, Yale, Harvard.
Yes.
And then they would ask me where I was from, and I have friends who had a similar experience. And I was I'm from USF, the University of South Florida, and most people had not heard of that, especially back then. Yeah. But it was very surprising to me that I was really surrounded by Ivy League students in a lot of the activities that I participated in, and that USF had prepared me so well to work in those environments. Okay, I would like to take the time now to just give you a little bit more information about the concept of global networks, and then we'll open it up for anybody who would like to say a few words and let us know where you're calling from. Okay, so let me just turn over here. If we look at the vision and purpose of these global networks, it's really to create a worldwide interconnected network of USF alumni, students, faculty, partners, allies. We want to connect USF's global citizens. And most importantly to me, and I think this resounds a lot with the stories that we're hearing from our panelists today, is that we want to build communities of support. We want to build communities of support for our students, our international students, the students who go abroad, our faculty who do research in the region, and any of our faculty or alumni who continue to be engaged, whether that's through international trade, humanitarian efforts, or research. And we do want to reconnect with our alumni so that they can share their experiences, their networks, and they can help guide our current students, but we also want to provide them with resources. A lot of our students go on to start their own companies or to start their own organizations. I myself have done that, and I've always been able to come back to USF and source really talented interns to work in my startup. And that has been really valuable to me, and I hope that that will be valuable to others as well. So this past year, we launched 4 networks, and this year we're launching 3. So we're putting together a pretty good lineup. We tend to look at, what is the prospective membership? What are the historical and traditional engagements that the university has abroad? And we really do have incredible alumni all over the world. So in terms of the benefits, again, we want to give alumni and everyone involved the opportunity to expand their professional and their personal networks, access to industry talent, network with other global leaders. You know, once we establish something like a global network director, then, you know, the director for the Network the Caribbean can meet with the director of Network Brazil, can meet with the Network Colombia director. And I think that will create another level of networking and camaraderie and collaboration. Also, of course, if you've had a positive experience, we hope that you'll pay it forward by taking an active role at the university. So I think there's a lot that we can do together as a network, and I would love to invite you all. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and if you could just turn on your cameras, John and David, I think, who else is here, and just let us know where you're calling from, tell us about your experience, and share with us a little bit about your story and what you are interested in getting out of a Caribbean network.
Vanessa, thank you very much for having us. This is really, I think, a great, idea. And it's really welcoming. USF went, well, a couple of years back, but we had a very good experience. And thank you for reaching out, quite frankly. I'm from Jamaica, have a company involved in energy, and we have positioned ourselves globally. We did some international conferences. So as we're actively listening to see if there was anything that you are hinting to, and I just saw that in the presentation in regards to initiatives that we develop and being able to partner with it. And that's really great. And so I'm looking forward. I don't know if there's going to be any contact information given at some point in time, but I would love that. And I think it would be something that would be great to partner with with USF. And so congratulations to whoever brought this together, and that we are the first of, I think, 7 global, networks that you're bringing together. I think it's wonderful, man. Again, thank you, and thank you for the presentations that were given. Good, great idea.
Thank you for sharing, Philip. Yeah, one of the things I didn't really mention, but I think is really important, is that we really want every network to have its own flavor. People in the Caribbean, alumni, faculty, the type of involvement that's going to require different types of attention. You're going to have different priorities, different interests than Network Saudi Arabia or Network India. And we do not want a cookie cutter, every alumni chapter looks the same. We really want to take advantage of the culture, the history, and everything that is present in every network, and make sure that each one is truly unique and meaningful to its members. And in terms of collaboration and participation, we have wonderful things going on. For example, I invited a couple of alumni who run their own very successful companies, one in Canada, one in France, to participate in a student global consulting course. And it was the opportunity for them to do a real project with a real company that was run by USF alum. And they had an amazing experience. It was virtual, but they got to work with the CEO, with the teams in the other countries. And for them, it was something really special, and they really got to have a window into what it would be like to work in a company in that part of the world. So I absolutely welcome your participation as well, and anyone else on the call. But those are the types of opportunities that we want to make available. USF is already engaged in so many amazing initiatives, but not everybody knows about it. So what we want to do is bridge those gaps. We want to connect those people. When our students study abroad, they can meet with our alumni in country. They can shadow them for a day at their company or their work. Every time our alumni go anywhere, they can meet other alumni. When our faculty go abroad, they can meet with alumni there. When our students go abroad, we can have events where we bring everybody together. And I do hope that we will have an in-person event in the Caribbean, probably Jamaica, in the spring. So we're really looking forward to that, and we can move those in-person events around the region so that we can be very inclusive, Puerto Rico and all that. So I welcome anybody else to come up. Nia, I see that you've put some things in the chat. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, I'm in a bit of a busy space, so I'm not sure how well you can hear me. But my name is Nia Lynch. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. Gabby was actually my roommate last semester. And so she was my first introduction to Caribbean community here at USF. When I found out that she was Bajan, at least, I'm not going to be by myself. And that was my first year at USF last year. I'm really excited about the Caribbean network. I think it's important to have a network like this. I'm a bit involved in some of the social contracts for Caribbean students here at USF. So the Caribbean Cultural Exchange. Actually, Trinidad and Tobago students here are actually in the process of registering a new student organization called Lime at USF. I just came from the event actually. We had a games night between Bahamians, Jamaicans, and Trinidad. Trinidad won, but of course, we love the Caribbean. Everyone in it. So yeah, I'm excited to not only be involved in, the social activities at USF, but to professional development with people that think like me, look like me. I can relate. So I'm excited and thank you guys so much.
That's really great to hear about the new student org. One of the things that we really want to do with the network is provide a platform for student organizations as well and to collaborate with you. So for example, with Network Saudi Arabia, we've identified one of the biggest companies there where a lot of students aspire to work for. So we'll be having an amazing event where we invite 3 or 4 panelists who are alumni who work in that company in Saudi Arabia, in Texas, in different parts of the world, so that students have the opportunity to speak with them and talk about their journey and all the challenges they face. So please let me know, Nia, when you guys are set up and running. You can reach out, to Gabby and we'll set something up. I'm happy to listen to the fields that you're interested in and find alumni who are working in those fields or in those parts of the world. So thank you so much.
Well, then, thank you.
What about Ercilia or Barbara? You guys want to come on?
I think Vanessa, David has 2 things in the chat, says he's having microphone issues. So he has 2 interesting comments that probably we could respond to.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see what it says.
And somebody has their hand up as well.
Okay, I only see PJ Sterling here. I don't see a full first name, but you're welcome to come on screen and say a few words. I'm going to take a look at David's post over here while you introduce yourself.
Okay, hi, I'm Paulette. I'm not sure why. I'm sorry. So it's Paulette, and J is my middle initial. So I'm from Jamaica. So yes, send that reunion to Jamaica, of course. So I went to USF actually with my younger sister. So we were both at USF together, both from Jamaica. At the time, she lived in Florida, and so that's how I ended up going to USF as well. I don't want to put a damper on it, but she actually passed away 2018, and so I would love, both of us did College of Business, and so I would love to get involved and do something, in her memory, even if, yeah, thanks, Philip. Even if it's, even if it's not, something official where we're gonna say in honor of my sister, but I would, love to be able to get involved. She was always about trying to find international students from Jamaica who needed help just to traverse, the landscape and everything. And so since I graduated, I came back to Jamaica. I've been in a couple senior positions at my company, and I'm actually now in Canada doing an assignment on their behalf, financial industry. I'm in the financial industry. And so, yeah, and then I did a stint in the UK as well, where they sent me. So I feel like USF sort of set me on an international path, if you want to call it that. And so I really appreciated my years there. And sadly, I've not been back, which I need to. I need to change that. You know, I need to change that. And so I'm looking to get involved in terms of, as you said, helping any other Jamaican or Caribbean person to navigate international student life. In the company I am in, as I said, I'm in a senior management position. I head now the business in Canada. And so if I can be of any inspiration or support in that regard in terms of, you know, traversing life after USF in terms of your career, whether in the financial industry or just leadership, I'm all for it. And as I said, I would love to be able to do something that I can say it's in honor of my sister Yvette Sterling. You know, that would be great. In fact, she met her husband at USF as well, and he is alive in living in New York now. So it will be a huge I don't know, family affair then, if you want to call it that. So yeah.
Thank you, Paulette, for sharing your story. I'm very sorry about your sister.
Thank you, Suzette. Thanks.
One of my dreams is to establish scholarships for every network,
Yes.
so that each network can sponsor students to come from that country or from that region.
Yes.
So I hope that one day we can accomplish that and put your sister's name on that. That would be a wonderful accomplishment, I think, for this. So
I mean, whether it happens today or 10 years from now, I so appreciate that, Vanessa. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Thank you for saying that.
Ercilia, you want to pop back on?
Hi. So sorry, I'm a little bit in the dark here, but I'm probably one of the few who joined, who is from the Spanish Caribbean, Dominican Republic. And one of the reasons that I got attracted to this group is I'm interested in finding out any researchers who are doing research in the Dominican Republic or any of the Spanish Caribbean countries. I know there was one in the College of Anthropology and in the School of Anthropology, and she retired already, and there were a couple in public health. They are not longer there, but I'm not quite sure how to connect with some of the researchers in there. So, and it's great to hear everybody's stories and to see how you guys are taking this world approach. I love this. And for the psychologists who asked in the chat, yes, we're very happy people.
Can I echo that? Is it Ercilia?
Yes.
Can I echo that and say yes? Caribbean people are happy people. Latin American people are happy people. I liked that he made that comment. Just wanted to echo.
Yeah, we're always celebrating something. And the funny thing is that it seems like people will be very busy, but no, there is always time to spend in the Caribbean, to spend time with the neighbors under a tree, pulling a chair and sitting outside and just chatting and laughing. That's a very common activity. So yeah, that really contributes to us being kind of happy people. But anyways, yeah, but back to the network, Vanessa, if I don't know if there is any way to find out, you know, what's some of the research, if there is an easy way for us to find out who's doing what.
There is actually. We have something called the Global Discovery Hub, which allows you to see where professors are engaged internationally, lets you see publications, and also the different activities that they're involved in abroad. So you and I can have a call and we can look at that. The other thing is I'm going to ask Gabby to put the link to the LinkedIn group back in the chat. That's for now, that's the way that we're going to be communicating with everyone. It is my hope that in the new year, I'll be creating actually a global directory for the university online, and which you can actually kind of select which networks you want to be a part of, and then you'll see everybody on a map where everybody is, all USF people, all USF bulls all over the planet. And you should be able to hover over, see their name, get their LinkedIn information and all that. So that's a big project that I have in the works that I'm hoping to launch also in the new year. But absolutely, there are many ways that we can help to connect you. So please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm going to go ahead and put my email here in the chat. It says Martine, but it's because my last name is Martinez and there's too many Martinez's, so it's Martine 4. But it's funny because the French are always calling me Martine when they email me. Anyway, there's my email address. And then anybody else, if you want to drop your contact information in the chat, please do. We have a lot of people who registered for this event, so we're really excited to reach out afterward and connect everybody. And I'd love to hear from anybody else on the call who would like to share a little bit about their experience. Do we have any other students on the call right now?
Hi, yes. My name is Barbara, and I am a master's student at USF. I would love to pursue, well, right now I'm working on my proposal in the basics of it. But anyway, my proposal on doing research within the Caribbean and Latin America, ideally focusing on ethnobotany and the traditional knowledge that is being lost, unfortunately, but I hope to create curriculum to implement that within a lot of children and students curriculum within the schools to, you know, continue and evolve ecological and traditional knowledge. But yeah, I'm hoping to pursue that in the near future and with my PhD as well. Thank you
That's
for this as well. This is great.
Oh, that's great to hear. I love to hear how diverse the fields that everyone is involved in finances, business, ethnobotany. That's fantastic. We also have another professor at USF. He's in the Department of Anthropology, and he couldn't make it tonight, but he was the chief editor for, let me see if I can bring it up here. Let's see. For an anthropology publication that focuses specifically on the Caribbean and Latin America. And he has a few articles in there. So I'll definitely share that in the LinkedIn group so everyone can see. But it's really amazing how it kind of cuts across all types of barriers, right? Does anybody else want to pop on before we say goodbye? Okay, this is going to be, oh, come on. Aliana. Hi.
Oh, hi, I'm Aliana. I'm currently still on campus at school. I'm the PRO for the Caribbean Cultural Exchange, and I'm also the multicultural community representative for the Jamaica Alliance movement. And yeah, I'm excited that, you know, we have our own network now. I was really excited to get invited to this event, and thank you all for sharing with me. And I look forward to working with you guys in the future.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we go, I'm going to ask you to please, if you can, turn your camera on. We're going to take one picture of this event where we're all looking very nice and excited. And that'll be the last thing I ask of you. So if you can turn on your camera, please do. And then we'll have Gabby here take a couple of snapshots, a couple of screenshots here. Everybody looks beautiful, don't worry. So I'll put up a good gold bull sign. Let's see. All right. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. It's been such a pleasure. I love hearing from everyone in this network. And Paulette, we're going to work on making that scholarship a reality. I would love to have more students come here and have more opportunities to inspire the future generation of Network Caribbean. So thank you all so much. Please sign on to our LinkedIn group just so that you can stay up to date to what's happening. And if you are doing something amazing, please share it on that group because we want to know what you're doing. So please stay in touch and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Vanessa.
you. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye, Rebecca.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.